before I share some top tips, I'd like you to know that we did an entire panel discussion, a 1-hour panel discussion with trainers from around the world, all of whom shared 2 or 3 tips each. And that video is available on YouTube on the Axelos Global Best Practice channel. So I strongly urge you to go check that out. If you're preparing for ITIL 4 Foundation, I think you should understand that the exam is going to be based on your recollection of certain definitions or your understanding of certain concepts. So you don't necessarily need to go too deep into particular topics. Just make sure that you're limiting your studying to what you need to know to pass the exam. The second thing is, this is very difficult. And I have failed ITIL exams in the past because of my inability to do this. You've got to be able to dissociate what you've done in your organizations, which is IT service management and good practice, from ITIL, which is a best practice framework. Best practice frameworks are taken into organizations to be adapted and adopted. So what the best practice framework says is not necessarily what you've been doing in your career or in your current role. So in a way, you have to be able to dissociate what you've experienced in real life and just stick to what the book says. And sometimes that's really, really difficult, but this is something you have to train yourself to do, not just for ITIL, but all the other best practice frameworks out there. The third tip I'd say, and this is perhaps a slightly more controversial one, if you don't know the answer to something, for example, there's a question about the 4 dimensions, and you can recall 3 of them, but you can't recall the 4th. Chances are you will encounter that 4th in another question somewhere else in the exam. So hold off from answering that, do the rest of the exam, and then you might find that that light bulb moment goes off, that happens, that light bulb goes off, and you come back to that original question and say, okay, now I remember what the 4 dimensions are. But the controversial one is, if at the end of going through the whole exam, you still don't know the answer to that question, then guess. Because there is no negative marking in an ITIL exam. If you leave that question unanswered, you are 100% guaranteed to get 0 marks. But if you guess, you're 25% chance of getting that 1 point. So would you rather have 100% of a guarantee of not making anything, or 25% of making at least 1? At least that 1 point. So that's my third tip. As you continue your ITIL learning and you're studying for the exams, all the best. Good luck. Let us know how you've done.